Authentication is the process by which your app's users sign up or sign in to your app. The authentication process confirms the legitimacy of a user's identity before allowing them to interact with the application. Thunkable supports authentication through a variety of third parties. In this tutorial, we'll focus specifically on Firebase. You will need to have a Firebase account and connect it to your Thunkable project. We've already taken care of that for the project we'll be working on in this tutorial. We'll design and build a dual-purpose screen where a new user can create an account, and a returning user can log into their account. The default screen view is for signing up, but the user can easily sign in instead by clicking here. We'll head over to a copy of this project with the blocks deleted and take a look at how the screen has been designed. The logo image, animation, and email and password text inputs remain the same regardless of whether the user is signing up or signing in. But each of the other components is modified in some way, depending on what the user is doing. For example, we only want users to confirm their password if they're signing up for the first time. So we've put the confirm password text input component into a group component that we can easily modify the visibility of. We can use blocks to make the group visible when the user is signing up, but then make it invisible if the user is signing in. We've also bundled the two components related to keeping the user signed in a separate group component. For this group, the visibility will remain the same regardless of whether the user is signing in or signing up. But what will change is the location of this group of components on the screen. The last group contains the sign in/up button and the labels for swapping the screen from signing up to signing in, or vice versa. Before we head over to the Blocks tab to add the functionality to this screen, let's take a quick look at these text input components for password and confirm password. For each of these text inputs, the secure text entry property has been set to true so that the user's password is not displayed in plain text as they're typing. Okay, now let's build out the blocks. The first thing we want to do is initialize an app variable to indicate whether or not the user is a new user signing up. When the app opens, we want the default screen to be the sign-up screen, so we'll initialize this new user app variable to true. We can use this variable's value to define how the screen should behave when the user clicks the swap label. Because we use the same swap label for both the sign-up screen and sign-in screens, the variable needs to be updated accordingly. When it comes to conditional blocks, it is implied that the if statement is true. So in this example, when the swap label is clicked, if the app variable new user is true, we want to set the variable to false. If the variable is not true, the else statement says to set it to true. Now that we've configured the variable's value based on the swap label, we can define how the screen should behave based on the variable's value. Let's start by defining how the screen should behave when a new user is signing up, so the new user variable will be true. Starting from the top, we want to welcome the user to the app, indicate to them that they're signing up, and ensure the group that contains the confirm password text input is visible. In addition, we want the button to say sign up, the account question label to say already have an account, and the swap label to say sign in. Lastly, to perfect the visual design for the sign-up screen, we need to allow space for the confirm password text input, so we can modify the location of the keep me signed in and button and swap groups using their Y coordinates. Now, in the else section, we'll define the behavior if the user is not new, if they're signing in. To do that, we can copy and paste each of the blocks and modify them for an existing user signing in. We want the welcome label's text to be welcome back, the sign in up header label to sign in, the confirm password group's visibility to be false, and the button's text to say sign in. The account label will read don't have an account. The swap label's text should be sign up, and with the confirm password group no longer visible, we can shift the keep me signed in group and the button and swap group up. Let's test that quickly. Great, the UI is changing as we'd intended depending on whether the user is signing up or signing in. Now we'll create a function to define the signing in behaviors, and another for the signing up behaviors. A function is a chunk of code that can be defined and then called whenever needed. Using a function allows you to easily reuse blocks and keeps your blocks organized and easy to read. Under App Features, click Sign In, drag the Firebase sign-in block and drop it within the sign-in function. The user inputs their email address and password into the screen's text inputs. Add an if-do-else block to the Firebase sign-in block. If there is an error in the sign-up flow, we want to communicate that to the user. And if there isn't an error, we'll have the app look at the Keep Me Signed In checkbox. Let's initiate stored variables for the user ID and email. If the sign-in is successful, the Firebase sign-in block returns a user ID that is created automatically when a new user signs up. If the user checks the checkbox, we'll set the user ID variable to the Firebase sign-in block's user ID output and the email variable to the email text input's text. If the checkbox wasn't checked, we'll set those variables to null. And lastly, for the sign-in flow, we want to navigate the user into the app. If the user indicated they want to remain signed in, there will be a value for the stored variable user ID. When the screen opens, if the stored variable user ID is not null, therefore it has a value, we can navigate the user directly into the app. Let's move on to the sign-up function. When a user is signing up, there are two password text inputs that must match. We'll use a logic block to compare the passwords and display an error message if they don't match. If the passwords do match, we'll go ahead and sign them up. Grab the Firebase sign-up block from the sign-in drawer of blocks. We'll use the advanced version of the block so that if there is an error, we can display an error message. Let's replace the default password and email blocks with one of the password text inputs and the email text input. If there's an error with signing the user up, we will display the error message in the error label. If there isn't an error, the user will have an account created and we can go ahead and sign them in. To do so, click Functions, drag the sign-in block, and drop it into the else space. The last step is to add functionality to the sign up or sign in button. If the app variable new user is true, clicking the button will trigger the sign up function. And if it is false, clicking the button will trigger the sign in function. Let's test this as a new user who is creating an account. Nice! We've successfully signed into our app. Now let's take a quick look at the Firebase side. Here's our new user, Billy Beaver's account. And just like that, we've configured authentication through Firebase, and our app's users can sign up or sign into the app. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and make sure to subscribe to our channel for more great content. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, innovation should have no limits.